Welcome, everybody, to the weekly WP Roundup with BJ Keeton. That's me, and every Friday afternoon, we get together and we talk about the best news, tutorials, and resources that have been published this week about WordPress. We get together, we talk, and we really discuss everything that's been going on. So feel free to take part in the live chat, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube right now. Please feel free to throw in some questions, some comments, and let's just really get to know each other. I'm running into some strange stream stuff right now. I don't know if it is the platform or what is doing it, so let me know if anything cuts out, if it's stuttery or my sound goes out. I just want to know because we're starting a little bit late here because of things simply not liking me. So without any further ado, let's dig in. I'm seeing comments on here. I really appreciate you guys not rioting. I did come to class, Uncle Social, so nobody has to invoke the 15-minute rule that doesn't actually exist. So let's move into the articles this week before other before other technical difficulties happen. This week, I want to remind you guys that our Black Friday sale is coming up. The first link in the description of this video is actually our Black Friday sale link. So if you want to click in that, you can enter into a giveaway for a Mac Pro. Not a MacBook Pro, an actual Mac Pro, the gigantic cheese grater looking Mac Pro that's not even out yet. When it gets released, we will buy you one, ship it to you, and then you can be one of the very few people to have such a magnificently powerful machine. So everything is in your favor on that one, so we want you to have that. Also, it'll be reminding you to check out the Black Friday sale, which is the best one that you're going to get, the best discount you're going to get, rather, all year long. So I'm seeing Irv on Facebook says everything's looking okay, so maybe that's smoothed out. I started streaming earlier, and all of a sudden it didn't stream anywhere. My software was saying live, and then no platform had the signal at all. So I'm glad to see that everything does seem to be going okay for you guys right now. So thank you, Irv, for letting me know. That all that said, just wanted to remind you, like I said, about the Black Friday sale. Enter to win the Mac Pro, and we're good. I'll keep reminding you about that until the sale comes on. Now, this past weekend, we didn't get to actually talk this last week because I was out of town for my 10-year wedding anniversary, and then a lot of the rest of the Elegant Themes team, and probably a lot of you guys, were at WordCamp US. WordCamp US was this last week in St. Louis, Missouri, and during that time, I've heard nothing but wonderful things about the community, being able to meet up with people, that we had tons and tons of people at the Divi meetup. We had there were times where I don't think any of our team was able to go to any sessions just because there were so many people out talking. So it seems like the organization team did an absolutely magnificent job from everything I've heard. And our very own Raquel Landefeld was on the organizing committee. So kudos to her for that. And with that said, the State of the Word happens every year at WordCamp US. That is where Matt Mullenweg gets up, gives a presentation about what has happened over the last year, the highlights, where WordPress is, and then outlines what the upcoming ideas and movements in WordPress will be. And I honestly forgot about this. This was something until I started looking at research for the stream and seeing people's articles coming up that I honestly forgot that there was a State of the Word WordCamp US because my mind was obviously elsewhere. I wanted to make sure that I linked to you the State of the Word. So the second link in the description is the actual State of the Word. WP Shout has it embedded embedded on their site. You can find it at wordpress.tv, ma.tt, WordPress Tavern. There's so many. You can get it anywhere, but I chose this one, and you can watch it there. You'll be able to see Matt talk about all of his stuff. Then if you're like me and you haven't had time to sit and watch all of it yet, Post Status has posted the status. I couldn't resist. Has Brian Krogsgaard at Post Status has posted a summary of the state of the word, so that if you don't have time to really sit down and watch the entire presentation, you can read about it and what was going on. It was a very good one, apparently. He talked about the the meetups and the WordCamps, how they've been growing, that the community is just absolutely massive and growing at a great rate. That he did mention that next year's WordCamp WordCamp US will not be on Halloween weekend, which I'm very thankful for because Halloween is always going to be busy for me. And then that it's also going to be in during the work week rather than on the weekend. So that one was pretty interesting to hear about. And then just moving on, he was talking about ways that you can get involved with WordPress. Work with the design experiments that they have, the Gutenberg plugin to test out new features, submitting bug reports, go to the contributor days at WordCamps, things like that. And then he talks about the different development and core that's been out. Made note of the new WordPress 5.3 that comes out in 4 days, that on November 12th, the same day as Disney Plus and the new Star Wars show The Mandalorian, if you can tell what I'm waiting for on the 12th, we're getting WordPress 5.3, which is bringing tons of updates to both WordPress and the block editor. And I think that those of you who have been reticent to move to the block editor will really, really like it after 5.3, because I've been using the Gutenberg plugin to stay more advanced of what's in core, and it's really good these days. So I like it. He talks about that. And then really it was Gutenberg. You can read the summary on here as well. Talked about how the contributors has over doubled, how the installations are going, that Gutenberg-based posts are increasing at a rate of 270,000 posts per day, as tracked by Jetpack. So it's a lot. And there's reason for that, because it is good. It is getting better. And here at Elegant Themes, we're working on getting more Gutenberg integrations. And like I've said in the past, that's one of our upcoming updates, is the second version of our Gutenberg integration. So that should be coming soon. But the stuff that he was talking about is basically the stuff that we've heard before. We're moving into site-wide editing with Gutenberg, all of that stuff. So you can check out the actual details by watching the stream or looking at the post status post. Post status post always seems so weird. The post status summary of the talk, they're always worth listening to. I thought it was also interesting to note that Matt slides this time, Brian, at the bottom of the summary, shows that Matt slides for the state of the word were actually built using Gutenberg, and that the code for the presentation is on GitHub. So there's a link to the GitHub where you can use Gutenberg to do online presentations like this. So I actually thought that was pretty neat. I will probably play with that a little bit just to see how it goes. Y'all are probably like me in that regard. Where you like to experiment and try new software and software for new things. And I think it's neat that you can use use Gutenberg as a presentation software. So that's what the state of the word is this year. We're advancing. We're kind of keeping the same as we were, but Gutenberg is getting better, and that's really where WordPress seems to be moving. So lose my train of thought because I see a comment. But like I said, I like it at this point. I'm seeing some comments here. Uncle Social says, I want my clients to be able to use Gutenberg for blog updates on their sites instead of them trying to use Divi. I'm still a bit foggy of how to do that, to achieve that. Uncle Social, the way that I do that is I go into the Divi settings. I have the Gutenberg plugin installed rather than the block editor, but I really don't think that matters. I go in on the Divi settings, and there will be where you can enable the Divi builder, and I turn it off for posts. Now with the new theme builder especially, there's not, if you're wanting people to use Gutenberg, I would just turn off the Divi builder for posts. That will make it so that the content area of any post that you have will show up being edited with Gutenberg. And now with the theme editor, you'll be able to pick where that content goes using a global template for blog posts or post types, however you use them. But the way I do that is I keep Divi installed. I keep the builder open for pages and any other custom post types that I want, and then I turn them off for posts. And I've never had an issue with getting Divi and Gutenberg really to play well with each other, because they're completely separate in that regard. It'll just, I make my pages with Divi and use posts for Gutenberg, and then have just the site built the way that it is. And now I can use a template finally instead of editing the single.php. But that's how it was. That's what I do with it. Sorry, I was reading the comments. Enable Divi Builder on post types. Oh, there it is in the theme options builder. How do you even remember all these menu options? Thanks. That one is solely because of the issue that you had. I was running into issues with the same way, where I wanted to be able to write in a different way than I was designing. And I poked around until I actually found that and got frustrated. I was like, oh, I can do that. But yeah, it's a click field of it's kind of a click hole that you can get into on that one. But I'm glad to have helped on that. It's really nice. And if you don't want people to edit with Divi on certain pages and admin roles and things like that, remember that there's the role editor as well that you can use to limit access to modules and things within the Divi builder. So you can use that as well. The role editor is really, really useful. If you don't use it, it's really a powerful tool to do stuff like this too. I see iPivot says, I've had frustrating issues with Gutenberg today with Divi, and I deleted that, and then all things got good. And then Bad Baroid said, I turned off Gutenberg in the Divi settings. I think it's too awkward to use. That I understand. One of the things that we're working on in the next Gutenberg integration is making it so that they're a little less awkward to use together, where it's not nearly as I don't want to say trial and error, but kind of seeing what the best flow is for you and your site. And we're really wanting to move into a much better situation. We think we have that figured out. And then, as far as Gutenberg itself, it has a bit of a learning curve, but if you spend some time with it, I just did it on side projects just here and there, and kind of just made myself on one, just like, I'm only going to use Gutenberg for this. That's all I'm going to use. Turned out that it got way less awkward. And now I've been able to teach other people a lot quicker, which has also helped me with Gutenberg, but it can be awkward. And like I said, we're working to get the integration with Divi to be less so. So I see Raquel is on Facebook and says she can vouch for WordCamp US being wonderful. I hope so, especially being on the on the organizing team. Really hope so. Otherwise, that would be some work for next year. But I really am glad that that's going well. And apparently, I click into something that's not a stream, or that is not that, and it had sound. So that's WordCamp. That's Gutenberg. That is the state of the word. And speaking of a second ago, training people on how to use Gutenberg and things like that, Yoast has actually put out a new online course for WordPress beginners. Torque Mag has an article about it that I posted. It's the fourth one under news, where this one is a Yoast training course so that you can learn pretty much everything you need to know about WordPress to get started. I love Yoast's online training stuff. I've been checking out their SEO stuff over the last little while, and the way Torque says it is the course consists of 8 modules, and every module consists of multiple lessons. There's modules about block editor, where you can has a lesson for adding images, video, embeds, things like that, where now you have this free course for people to use for clients specifically that you can point them to so that they can go through it. If that sounds like something that you would want to take advantage of, Yoast has that out there. I thought it was a great idea for them to do, and they have really good already out there online. Man, that was not the way to say that. They already have really good online courses out there. So this is one that is just another good one in the stable. So it's definitely worth checking out and pointing your clients to as well. Then I discovered on Yoast that I didn't realize this, but Google has put out a new update using the name that's just not even how words work, BJ. Google has implemented a change on how they're going to be crawling and looking at different search queries. And it's called BERT. If you've not heard of Google BERT, and you may have not, I had not either until I read this a couple of days ago. And what BERT is a neural network based technique for natural language processing that has been pre-trained on the Wikipedia corpus. Basically what that means is that Google now has an AI that understands human language because it has read and analyzed Wikipedia, all of Wikipedia. It is very important now that we understand what this is, because this is currently rolled out in the US. I don't know about the rest of the world yet, but Yoast does point out that this is in the US right now. I see your comment, Anthony or Antonis. I will get to that in just one second. But what they've done on this is by having this AI that runs in the back of all of their queries and all of the search engines, or search queries and search crawlings. Y'all, I can't talk today. What that means for you is that it can look at your website and way more easily and way better identify posts and content that most accurately gives the solution to whatever problem people are searching for. Right now, we are in most of the time, the Google cards are pretty okay. But for the most part, but sometimes you're going to get something that's like, that's not the question that I asked. Why are you telling me this? Or answers to more questions are completely unrelated. What this one does is make sure that the questions are actually answered and that they're asked and understood like a human does. It says for ranking content, BERT is currently rolled out in the USA for the English language. Google will use the learnings of BERT to improve search in other languages as well. Today, BERT is used for featured snippets in all markets where these rich results appear. According to Google, this leads to much better results in those markets. There are also resources on this page talking about what BERT actually is. I'm glad that someone also, Torin, made the companion tech named Ernie joke on YouTube chat, because I was trying to think on how to work it in and couldn't come up with it. So I'm very glad that someone else was able to do that. Kudos to you. But they have a lot of links on understanding this technology, because neural nets, machine learning, and AI are incredibly complicated. And so they've got the original PDF of the BERT paper to figure out exactly what it is. Very technical. They talk about explaining just everything about it, how Google is using it. There is a 6-minute read on an introduction to neural language processing that this thing uses. And then they're talking about Google open sourcing BERT, which means that the whole thing, BERT, is on GitHub. So if you want, Torin, you can go onto GitHub, fork BERT, and make your own Ernie. So that would be absolutely hilarious. Um, Read made me giggle. A 6-minute read? That's horrible. I hope for certain that you're longer than 6 minutes, Read. I promise that I hope. I did not mean any offense. But that's what Google BERT is. And when I saw this, my mind was blown, because I had no idea that this was the kind of thing that Google was using to better make voice search work. It's letting us actually ask questions to Google when we type stuff in, which is why we can get better answers now. And it means that we as people need to get used to creating content that solves problems and doesn't just work for keywords. We need to write articles and produce content using Divi, using everything at our disposal that actually solves people's problems, rather than trying to rank for any certain SEO stuff that you have. We are in the problem-solving business now. Whether you are a content creator, whether you're a web developer, a web designer, whatever it is, like Antonis said on, again, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, on Facebook, says that Juice DeValk at a WordCamp Athens this year said that Gutenberg and Schema are better for SEO. Like, we are in the age where we're worried about SEO and all of this, but we are all in this problem solving. Like, we have to take everything into account and actually solve problems to do this. It's insane, and we have to make sure that we are putting our audiences first. So yeah, and Antonis, Anthony, again, sorry. I need to watch that talk, because I do see how with the way that the way that Schema and everything is working and Gutenberg is integrating it, that it could be better for SEO by far. There have been a lot of updates that it's taking in. I need to go watch that. Thank you for bringing that up to me. And Reed says, yeah, that's why using the dynamic content helps very well, because you can utilize Gutenberg. And once we get the second update into Gutenberg, I think you're going to be really impressed with what you can do with dynamic content, Gutenberg, and the Divi theme builder together. So yeah, moving forward, speaking of the theme builder, I want to move into the tutorials to talk about a couple of things on here, because, y'all, we're still a month in to the theme builder being released. Divi 4.0 came out. You guys are working with templates. You are setting up global defaults, your global headers and global footers, and all of that stuff. And so we are still putting out content that that teaches you how to do this stuff, because there's so much that you can do. This week, we've put out how to creatively feature popular products on your Divi landing page, and done yet the WooCommerce modules, because they are Very, very, very powerful when used together. And the design that she has using is almost like a pricing table, and it's just beautiful. The way that that it's put together. So I wanted to point out that you can use that one if you're looking at a new way to do a WooCommerce page, as well as the how to create a site-wide Woo product page template using Divi's theme builder. And this one is incredibly important, I think, because it was something that a lot of people wanted basically the moment that the WooCommerce page went live, that our WooCommerce update went live, and you weren't able to create a default template that would apply site wide, and now you can. That was kind of the whole thing. Like, we had to get the WooCommerce out to get the theme builder out and working. So so now we have this, and we want to show you how you can set it up yourself. And Donyeta has again put together a great tutorial on how to set up your WooCommerce page template so that it will apply to all of your products. So it's just the things that you can do with both WooCommerce and Divi now are incredibly powerful. Sorry, I was having to read comments and getting distracted by them again. So that's good. I also wanted to move in just very, very briefly. I say briefly, and then I'll get caught up on this one. I'll do my best not to. I posted an article earlier this week on, on Friday of last week, actually, on 5 common examples of bad grammar and how to fix them. As an English teacher, I used to have different kinds of examples and different pet peeves that I would use as really nitpicky sticking points for me about when my students did them. And I broke them down into high order concerns and low order concerns. And I always made sure that I taught my students the difference and the importance between high order grammatical content writing issues and low order grammatical content writing issues. Low order stuff is stuff that you can learn out of a book. You know, you're going to learn where to put commas and punctuation. These are things that something that when you learn it, you're not going to make that mistake anymore. It is a rule, and that's how you do it. You put a comma before and in a compound sentence, stuff like that. If you don't realize that at first, then you do. You get it, and it doesn't change the understanding of the sentence most of the time when it's used. Now, the high order concerns are the ones that I wanted to write about specifically in this post, mostly in that these are ones that you kind of have to internalize and work on a kind of case-by-case basis, but they're also the ones that make your writing a lot better once you've grasped how to use them. And so you have to look at them on a case-by-case basis. And so the English teacher in me is imploring you to take a look at this 5 common examples of bad grammar, because it's stuff like subject, verb, and agreement. Like, everybody needs to understand subject, verb, agreement. This is a low order concern in general, but it's something that still comes up a lot these days, especially when you're dealing with collective nouns, like company names and things like that. Is it Elegant Themes have put out a good product, or Elegant Themes has, because we are, as a company, are we a collective noun, or are we a singular property? Things like that you need to understand, as well as tense shift to make sure that when you're writing, you stay in the same time of everything, dangling modifiers, active versus passive voice, and then parallelism. I'm not going to go into these because I have literally spent years talking about this stuff and not getting all the way through it. But I wanted to point out that this is out there with just some very basic ideas. And this does affect your SEO. As we're looking at Google neural network and the way that it's looking at language, you want to make sure that you are creating the most readable content possible. The most eloquent prose in the world doesn't actually do its job if no one understands what it means. And your entire job as a content creator and a copywriter is to make sure that you have the clearest, most communicable ideas possible. And that is what I want you to do with this post. And that is what Yoast wants you to do, which is also why I included active versus passive voice, because it's very easy to fall into the passive voice. A lot of us do this by default, just when we're talking or writing, and it's easy to see. It's easy to fall into, and it's very easy to fix as well. So check that one out. I'm proud of the article, but I also think that it's something that, like I said, with Google doing the changes that they've done, knowing, having just a couple of things in the back of your mind while you're writing your copy is probably a good idea. Then CSS tricks under that one, the fourth link under tutorials, has an optimizing images for users with slow network speeds. And usually, I skip over stuff like this when I see it. I may include it and not really talk a lot about it. And I don't think I'm going to talk a lot about it, because we do talk about image optimization a lot, and that's because it's really important. One thing that this article does that other articles don't is that this one shows how to optimize individual images or posts for specific types of connections. So you can use JavaScript to determine what speed people's connections are, and then logically determine what quality of your images that you want to serve to them. And so you can compress the images that way, and you're probably using a plugin that has a lot of different image sizes and image compressions that you already have done and stored on your site. Another thing that it does that I thought was really good and really cool is that it actually does a side-by-side comparison of JPEGs at quality 90 and at quality 50, so you can see really what the difference is. And for the most part, and I know you guys may rip me apart for this, but for the most part, I don't see a lot of difference. There is obviously a higher quality at 90 than 50 on JPEG, but the loss of quality isn't nearly as great as one would expect it to be at like the 40% mark there. So it is something to consider, just what you want to serve to people, and you can see it like that. It also talks about like how you set it up, how you put this stuff in. You can do caching with a service worker. It says looking at your analytics. Like, this is a really good post. It does not use a plugin to do this. This is a general JavaScript tutorial and tool. So if you're looking for a plugin to install to do this, it's probably out there, but this one in particular is not a plugin. This one is a JavaScript, dynamic script actually, that you put in using ImageKit, and it's really, really cool. I thought it was neat. Torin says one pet peeve that they have is people turning acronyms into words. BBC, all caps, turns into B, capital B, little bc. I also pronounce acronyms that shouldn't be pronounced. I know that I'm one of the people roll their eyes at whenever I go, oh, BTW, I need to do this. Or I will look at someone dead in the eye and just go, lol. And instead of laughing. And I realize that makes me a robot, but I'm one of those people. But it's I know that annoys people. But yeah, I see what you're saying when you're turning acronyms into lower cases. I actually did that with my name. I used to spell my name capital B lowercase j when I was in I think middle school and high school, and it was just one of those things. But like you said, now I look back and be like, that is so annoying, BJ. But yeah. And then I see Uncle Social says that Google PageSpeed Insights tool is still telling you off if you use JPEG instead of WebP image files. What's the best WP plugin for automatically serving WebP images? That I don't know, Uncle Social, but that is me making a note of that. Plugin to serve WebP images. That is now something I'm going to look into and will hopefully be able to put up on our site, because I don't know. That is a very important thing, actually, a very, very important idea, thing. What word am I looking for here? But that's really important to need to be able to do. That you because it helps a lot. Torin says it's the first I've heard of WebP. So I'm gonna just quickly pull up the one of the articles that I'd read a long time ago. It's on the Google developers site on what WebP is, and it is a specific web generated. Well, not web generated, web formatted image format that is smaller, compressed, and does lossy and lossless compression for it. It's a very, very good format, but it is still specialized, and there are some issues that come up with different sites that I've seen. I haven't had a lot of issues with WebP, but I haven't used a lot of WebP. I would like to use more WebP. I also realized recently when I was trying to download photos from my iPhone from Google Photos, and apparently they're saved in a new Apple-only format that it starts with an H that I can't remember, and it wouldn't let me open them in whatever software I was using to edit it with. Maybe it was Snagit that I was trying to edit it with, and it wouldn't let me because it didn't support it. And I was really just amazed that the stuff uploading to Google Drive from my iPhone was not recognized by my my image editing software. It's kind of like WebP on that that you've never heard of. This Torin, this was one that I can't remember what they're called. HEIF is what it was, and the high efficiency image format, and Snagit didn't like it. I'm pointing at Snagit because it was on this computer over here, but it's the same as WebP for me in that it is one of those that I'd never heard of, and then it's like it's everywhere and I can't escape it. So hopefully that'll be the case for you and WebP, only in a good way. Martin Phillips on Facebook has a really good question, so I really appreciate this, Martin. Question about the new theme builder. Is it good for building page content, or is it really for posts and WooCommerce pages? I have a big site to do lots of content, but the content varies slightly on each page, so I'm wondering how suitable the theme builder would be for this. I assume that the content has to be exactly the same on each page. There are two answers to this. One, the templates that we have on there, that if you set them as global, that is more for, they work just like the current global modules do. So that content will be the same everywhere. So if you have, say, a blog that you want to look one way, like the actual individual post, you would set a global blog template to include the post content in the middle or wherever it is, and that will change based on the post ID, but everything around it will be the same. So when you use global templates, you won't have anything change across the site. So you're not going to want to use that for like your about page or content page or contact page, landing page, things like that. What you will want to use with your big site is the global headers and footers. Where you'll be able to build whatever menus you want, whatever widgetized areas that you want. Those will be able to be site-wide or page-specific. So you can use build a header that you only want to use on archive pages or something like that. You can have a footer that will only show up on search pages or something along those lines. On your pages, I have a lot of content, but the content varies slightly on each page. It depends on what kind of content changes that you're changing, because you can create a template that work like the current library does, and load it on certain kinds of posts or content or categories or anything like that. Just thinking through this on building page content, I would say that you're going to be getting more use out of the theme builder in terms of the header and footer. Because while you can change say that you want all of your pages to have this content and have like a middle area that changes, you're probably going to have more dynamic styles on each of them. I shouldn't even say dynamic because it's not the right usage. You're going to have slightly different designs on every page. So you'll use Divi just like normal. You will build those individual pages, and you will go about your business as always. But you will be able to have a lot more control over what your archive pages look like, what your 404 page looks like. Your theme builder will be excellent for search pages. You can really, really customize search pages. If we don't have one now, I'm pretty sure there's one in the pipeline looking at search pages and how they're used. That the theme builder is absolutely excellent for that kind of granular control over larger swaths of the site. But global stuff is definitely on a big part of it. So global header, global footer, blog templates and stuff like that. And Uncle Social here on Facebook says, as well as the theme builder, check out Selective Sync. Uncle Social, I don't know what this is, so I'm very interested in this. It's a really underused part of Divi and is great for modules that you want to appear on multiple pages but with different content, e.g. a different looking page header that has a different title on each page. That Selective Sync is the answer. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Oh, excuse me. I truly had no idea that existed, Uncle Social. So that is payback for the turning off the builder on posts earlier. I really did not know that existed. That is awesome. I'm going to post that on YouTube as well for people to be able to check out the documentation on that, because that is an awesome feature that I assume not a lot of people know about again. So thank you for that. That does solve some of that same problem, I think. That's awesome. All right. I may make a note of that because had no clue. That's awesome. So hopefully that'll solve some people. I see there have been some comments on that, but I hope that helps a little bit, Martin. It may not, but may not have, since I ramble a bit. But I think that between selective sync there and then using global and global header and footer and things like that, that you're going to have some good luck with the theme builder. But again, lots of pages is probably going to be individually built, but you can do a lot with the theme builder on like categories, archives, tags, things like that. And then see, iPivot says that their media library doesn't load. Now it shows a white page. Deactivated all plugins and the theme too, and it's not solved. Huh. iPivot, I have not seen. I've not had any problems with the media library specifically not showing up. If it's doing it without Divi installed or a different theme installed and it's still doing it, and you don't have any plugins active, it's very likely a database issue. And Reed has beat me to it here. I would consider re-implementing a fresh WordPress instance just in case it's not a database issue. Yes. You will make sure that you back up WordPress, you do a complete site backup, and then you might want to look into getting a fresh install and looking at site health. Let me see. Elegant. This is how there are some, let's see. Fine. I wrote this one last year with some plugins. So iPivot, check that one out for like a health check and stuff like that. Because that kind of thing might be able to find something, might be able to help something there. But it could be a thing. If you want, one thing that we can do at Elegant Themes is if you contact our support, we can get into the back end of your site via token. We can connect directly to your site backend through Divi, and they can look at your installation and see what is going on, if there's anything they know how to fix. So definitely contact our live support and see if there's anything they can do, if it might be Divi related, that they can fix or that they know a solution for. And then Fight Like a Brave says that my issue is with the hamburger menu not opening when clicking on it. Oh my. The only fix that I have ever... Okay, let me take that back. I've had this happen twice. And the issue fixed in very different ways for me, and I don't understand the fix for either of them. So I'll just tell you what I did to fix it. It's probably not going to fix yours, but it might help you along the route to finding a fix. I had the Z index wrong on one of mine, and a transparent object over my hamburger menu. I had moved it around using negative margins, and I was doing some crazy stuff with manipulating the hamburger menu, trying to move it around the screen. And so I was using negative margins and padding to move it around, and had accidentally moved it under something that had a higher Z index. I couldn't click on it, couldn't hover on it, nothing worked, and I eventually realized what my problem was that way. So check and see if you have moved it in some way, or put some sort of code into it and messed with padding margins of something else that might be interacting with it around it weird. I've also changed it in the past where, and I have no idea how any of the how this fix happened or how this issue happened. I had it one time where my hamburger menu was right here, right? It was in the upper corner of the screen. Clicking on it doesn't do anything. Clicking right here, open the menu. I have no idea why. I went to a different browser, fixed it, and then cleared the browser cache, or cleared the website cache and the browser cache of the one I was using before. It was Chrome. And then it fixed it. I have no idea what was up. It was one of those things where the internet, the website just decided to do something strange. But those are the two things that I've had happen on mine. If you have, like you said here, just saw your comment here. Sorry, more comments. I worked at it first, and then I edited a border of a row, and then it stopped working. I reverted the border back, but it still won't open. Um, if you are if you have a backup of, I'm assuming it's a post or a page that you're editing here. If you have a backup of it from an earlier time, it might be good to go back to one before you edited that border. And I know that sounds weird, but sometimes I've had stuff like that. Like I said, these weird things have happened with clickable spots for me, and it's just you might be able to revert to an earlier time where you could click on it and then remake those changes that you've done afterward. Because I don't mean to laugh. I only laugh because I've had this happen to myself before. It's odd, it's weird, and I feel for you on this one, that there is not a good way to fix that. And you're making a header using the new theme builder and using a menu module, just FYI. Okay, I think also that there might be some bugs with the menu module in the header. I don't remember what they are, but I would contact live support and see if they have a solution for it, because I remember there being a couple things that we mentioned in our content meeting this week. And I can't remember if it was something like that or not, but it may be something to check out, just in case you ran into one of the menu issues that is getting fixed soon. And then I see, oh, and you're awaiting a reply from Sergey. Okay, that's I think the only thing I would do in your stead here is do like Reed said, make a backup, save that one to your library so that you can import it again, and see if it works by another thing. I see iPivot says regarding the white screen on the media gallery, media library, the optional module iMagick is not installed or has been disabled. Is that the reason? Uncle Social, I'm very new to web design and just starting with Divi. It's if it's showing white on your site and you've used a plugin and it's not installed, that's why, because it's pulling from that and not being able to load it. If it's showing up on your back end as the media library, when you click on media as white that way, then that is a WordPress or a Divi issue, or theme issue. I shouldn't say Divi, or theme issue coming on, where it depends on that one. I may have misunderstood originally on that one, Pivot. And I see Fight Like a Brave. That is what I'm here for. I figured I'd ask you since you were live. That is exactly what I'm here for. That's why I love doing these streams. Is I may not know an answer. I've probably messed something up that I've had a similar situation in the past, and if I don't know the answer, certainly, hopefully, somebody else in the audience does or support. Also, I'm in Alabama, not Texas, but not terribly far off. So yeah. And Pivot, maybe I should chat with support, but it's better that I learn it myself. I've learned so much from watching Jason and Donyetta's streams on Tuesday afternoons. that if you're really looking to learn how Divi works, WordPress, and they tie together and everything and what you can do, stuff like this, I suggest watching Jason and Donyetta's stream at 3 p.m. It's the same time on Tuesday afternoons or Tuesday nights, depending on where you are, or morning. Theirs is a great way to learn just things like this on how everything works. And then I see Lawrence Weiss, Divi 4 looks great. Love the template capability. Any chance that we'll get more control over the mobile menu in the future? Would love widget support for logos, social links, etc. And Lawrence, I cannot say completely because I'm not on that team, but I expect that you will get that. That sounds like something that would be coming soon with more mobile editing and mobile first stuff. I don't know when or anything along those lines, but I would not count that out. This is the first release of the theme builder, so we're still looking at what people want, what people need, and how everything works together, but I would not count that out at all. That sounds like just a logical progression as we move forward with the theme builder. I can't say 100% because it's not my my area, but absolutely sounds like things that, like, it would go hand in hand with things that I know are coming. Let me put it that way. And I can upload the media, but I don't see them. It's just the add new button. I pivot for the media and gallery. That I don't know. I think I'm baffled without seeing it. I pivot. I don't know that one, but I apologize on that. And Fight Like a Brave, is the hamburger menu disableable so that mobile users have the same buttons as desktop? Just a quick follow up. I didn't see that in the settings, so I assume no. It's a good question. It's a real good question. I don't know. I haven't played enough with the new menu module to tell you yes or no on that. I assume someone in the audience has, but that's one I will have to check on it myself. I truly don't know. I hope it is because I don't like mobile hamburger menus. I would think it would be because I'm just, this is gonna be really crazy. I'm gonna load up one of my sites on my phone. To see if I have a hamburger menu on there or not on mobile because I can't remember. And yes, I do have a hamburger menu on there. It's not what I thought, so everything I was about to say is no longer valid. So absolutely cannot help you on that one. But it seems if it's not a setting, that would be really cool. We're getting an update soon on mobile breakpoints, I know. Where we're going to be able to set specific dimensions as breakpoints rather than the what they are now, and that will probably be the way to do that. Because right now it's just like, hey, it's mobile, so you get this hamburger menu, right? So you're going to be able to set a breakpoint for switching things that way to mobile, and I would assume, based on my understanding of that feature, that you will be able to just say, hey, don't turn into a mobile menu at this. So that's something that should be that's coming soon. I don't know when that one's being pushed out, but with the mobile breakpoints, that one will definitely be a way to do that, at least as I understand it. So I think that's it. Even with technical difficulties, you guys, I think I'm out of time and didn't get to cover nearly as much, but that is wonderful. I am so glad that you guys were able to you guys and gals were able to make it this week. Yeah, I see comments again. I get distracted. And Lawrence Weiss says, awesome. I always prefer iPad as not having a mobile style. And yeah, that's one of the things that this one's for, is to set, Lawrence, whether or not iPads and tablets and what size of tablets you want to have that. Because if you have an iPad Pro, you probably don't want somebody on an iPad Pro, you probably don't want somebody to see a mobile site, right? So being able to do that. And yeah, you'll be able to remove breakpoints, so you're good. thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate y'all. I hope you have a fantastic week. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And thank you so, excuse me, so much, everybody, for the interaction, the questions, and the help that you provide other members of the community. We do this for you, and you guys make it so that we can do this. You guys are awesome, and I just want you to know that you're appreciated, and that we love you. So make sure that you click the like button, click the subscribe button, ring the bell, and tell Facebook that you want to get notifications whenever we go live. And that helps so much more than you may realize. So do as Uncle Social says in these comments and smash that button. As he says, I need your smashes. So I will see you guys and gals next Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern, and Jason and Donietta will be back on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern as well. I will see y'all next week. Bye, everybody.